Hi friends, and welcome back to the Crow Boutique. My name is Courtney Herrera, and this is my channel where I discuss my life as a psychic medium as well as my career as a clinical herbalist and aromatherapist. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what to expect if you have a psychic reading with me, and then also the differences and the perks of having an in-person versus online reading, and why you might want to choose one over the other. They both have their own pluses and minuses, but hopefully today I can clear up a little bit about what you would expect coming in to see me or doing a reading via Zoom, and then also what to expect throughout the reading and why you might want to choose an online reading versus an in-person reading, or an in-person reading versus an online reading. And I think it's just personal preference, but there are perks to both. So let's get into it. So to start with, you might notice my change in background here. This is actually my apothecary where I make all of the lovely herbal remedies that I usually sell on Etsy. And before I dive into today's video, I want to explain a few things so you can understand why I'm not doing that right now and why I'm focusing solely on the psychic and intuitive tarot readings that I'm doing currently. The first issue that is kind of keeping me away from making medicine right now, which is devastating to me, is that I had 2 hip surgeries back in August of last year, and I'm still recovering from those. And then I was supposed to have my 3rd hip surgery on April 4th, but unfortunately that got canceled because I need some imaging and I might need a 4th surgery, so we're just waiting on all that. So for right now, I'm not able to make medicine as much as I would like to, or in order to keep up with demand. And so for right now, I'm focusing on my non-tangible products, which are the intuitive tarot and psychic medium readings that I do. And I am able now to work 1 day a week in person, which is wonderful. And I do readings here in Denver at a little shop called the Shining Lotus Metaphysical Store. I just started there about a month ago, and I absolutely love and cherish the people there, and I love working there. I love doing readings for the people that come in. So there's been a lot going on, but if you're new here, which most of you probably are, the reason I'm not doing herbal products currently is because of my health, but I do plan to get back to that as soon as humanly possible. And I might even make some stuff in the interim and then just post it and see, like, let it go until it sells out or whatever the case may be. So we'll just see. I'm feeling things out right now. There's been so much upheaval, it's hard for me to just make a plan and stick to it because I have a huge fear of letting people down. So I don't want to commit to things I can't fulfill. That being said, let's talk about what I am able to do right now, and that is these psychic medium readings. And I know a lot of you probably have wanted or wondered about having a psychic medium reading before. And then I also do intuitive tarot readings, and they are very different, and I will explain both of them in this video. So I made myself a little list so I don't get off track. My ADHD brain just likes to go every different direction. So first of all, what should you expect if you come to see me for an in-person reading at the Shining Lotus in Denver on a Tuesday? Or if we make arrangements for a private reading in your home or somewhere else. Now, it does have to be wheelchair accessible because I use a wheelchair, but I'm happy to meet people in a public place for a reading, like a restaurant or a library or a bookstore. I don't do that very often just because the accessibility issue, and people tend to be more comfortable via Zoom in the comfort of their own home. So I tend to do a lot more of those. But if you're coming in to see me at the Shining Lotus on a Tuesday, which is the only day I work there currently, what you can expect is to either call the shop and make an appointment so that I don't get double booked, or we do accept walk-ins if I have availability. So you're welcome to walk into the shop, and you can either pay at the register if you're using a card, or you can pay me directly if you're using cash. And the cost there is different than my prices. I won't put them on here in case they change and this video becomes outdated, but if you are interested, feel free to email me. I will drop that in the description box below so that you can get a hold of me. But what you can expect is you come into the shop. I have my own private little space. We draw the curtain. I speak to you a little bit. We sit down. I will take some time to get to know you, kind of see what you're about. I don't really ask that many questions when we get started because I don't need input from the living. I know that sounds awful, but when people give me too much information up front, it actually clouds the reading for me because my subconscious can't tell the difference between what I'm thinking and what they're giving me. And so it works a lot better if you don't give me any information at all about who or what you're trying to contact or learn about that day. But basically, we sit down, you're on one side of the table, I'm on the other. We do have this nice plexiglass germ shield so that I don't get sick from you, you don't get sick from me. I am getting over a cold, which is why I did miss the last 2 weeks in the Shining Lotus, which has just been absolutely awful. I love being in there. This is not what I normally sound like, although my husband does think it's quite sexy. So anyway, you come into my little room and sit down, and then I will say something along the lines of, so I speak to the departed. I have no control over who comes through or in what order, and I do not edit the messages that they give me. That being said, they do not talk to me like I'm talking to you right now. Instead of giving me words that I can just give you directly like a voicemail, they give me impressions, feelings, sensory input from my own life experiences, and I have to then translate that into words for you. So basically, they give me like pictures or smells or sensations, feelings in my body. And based on what they're giving me, I can translate that into your message. And I will never sugarcoat or change a message, no matter how hard it might be to hear. I always ask that the spirit with the most healing for somebody comes through. So it might be a difficult message, but a lot of times that's the most healing message that you need to hear. So after I give you an opportunity to ask questions, what I do is I will light my specific candle. I have a candle that I use for my readings, and it's the only time I use that candle is during readings, and that is my signal to spirit that I'm ready to do my readings. So I don't light that candle unless I'm doing a reading, and I only light that candle when I'm doing a reading. So I don't start the reading until the candle starts. The time does start as soon as we go into the room, but my intro only takes like a few minutes. So and we always get what we came for. So I'll light my candle that signals for spirit to come through and start giving me impressions. And then I will start jotting down notes. I will be quiet during this time because I am just trying to get an impression of who's coming through and trying to speak to you. Once I feel like I've got adequate information to identify a person and see if this is your person, I'll start asking you questions. I will tell you what I got, like I'm feeling like this is an older female and that she passed of a prolonged illness, something to do with the lungs or the throat or, whatever the case may be. And based on that, we will identify your person. I still ask you not to give me any more information other than a confirmatory yes or no, just so that I know that this is your person. Because occasionally we get some situations where somebody attached to somebody you love comes through, or like your neighbor's friend comes through. It gets really weird. So there's not the same rules or manners on the other side. That being said, if you come to me and you're a healer, especially a spirit healer, there is a very good chance you are going to get messages for somebody that is not you. I won't name names, or I never give out your personal information. I might speak about your reading, but I keep all of your identifying information, all of your names and everything like that private. I never share that information with anybody. But I did have a reading with a lady last week, and she had almost every message was for somebody else. And I said, you realize you're a spirit healer, right? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, and you know why they're giving you other people's messages, right? And she's like, no, I don't. And I said, that's because you'll deliver them. So if you come to me and you end up with other people's messages, there's always something in there for you as well. But spirit knows who will work with them. And so they will give you the messages that they believe you will deliver for them. And it's never been a negative experience. It's actually been quite healing because it's usually messages for people that you love that need healing more than you do. Like if your mom has been a widow for 20 years and she's still grieving her husband, she might have a harder time with that than you did if you didn't meet him before you were born. And so sometimes you might get a message for somebody that would not come seeking a psychic medium themselves. So that does happen. That is something just to be open to. I always 100% of the time ask if there's somebody that you want to speak to in particular. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot contact specific people on the other side. There's no phone book for that. I can't control who comes through. And so I ask you when you come into a reading with me, whether it be digital, on the computer, over the phone, in person, whatever kind of reading we're doing, when you come to me for a reading, I always ask that you be open to hear from anybody on the other side that wants to speak to you, Because if you have in your mind that you want to speak to Uncle Ted and Uncle Ted is not the first person to come through, you're going to completely ignore the message of Aunt Marjorie. We can't have that. This is too draining of work for me to have you ignore the first 3 people in your reading. So I just ask when you come into a reading with me that you be as open as possible, and try not to be scared. I know that the idea of speaking to the dead is a little bit creepy. I'm aware. I'm a little bit creepy. But the healing that you walk away with is absolutely worth any kind of discomfort that you have to wade through to get there. And I will say that 99% of the time we laugh. We laugh. There are tears, but a lot of times there's laughter, because when somebody passes over and they enter the spirit world and they're no longer here in the physical world, they do not cease to be themselves. So if you know somebody who's a total prankster and just, for instance, is always running around farting and blaming the dog, okay, that's what they're going to do in your reading. Because that they want you to know that's who's coming through. It's not me, it's them. And so I have to say things sometimes that make me really uncomfortable. But it's the only way that the person on the other side of the table is going to know that this is their person coming through. And so I say it anyway. And usually it ends up with a lot of laughter, because they're like, oh wow, that is just like him. Or wow, that is just like her. So when you come into a reading, I guess if I were to say what to expect, always, always, always expect the unexpected. You probably are not going to hear what you think you're going to hear. And I think the experience is really surprising to a lot of people, because it's not a somber event. It's almost as though the person that you lost is in the room with you for a little while. And that is such a joyous and beautiful thing. It really is. And you get the confirmation that they're okay. Because if they weren't okay, they wouldn't be farting and blaming it on the dog. So that's the first thing. And that's with any reading, really. In the shop, like, we have time limits, so we sell the readings in the shop in chunks of time. So we have half-hour readings, 45-minute readings, and hour-long readings, all for different prices. And I will gladly discuss this with you if you're interested in having a reading, but you should just call and book at the store. They'll give you the prices and everything, because I want to make sure that you don't show up to the store for your reading as a walk-in and then you have to wait an hour because somebody came in before you. So make an appointment if you can, if you're able. And I will put their phone number in the description box as well. Excuse me, I'm so stuffy. So that being said, I'm going to segue into why you might prefer a digital reading via Zoom or FaceTime or Skype, or even on the telephone. If you're not a video call person, I'm fine with that. Or even chat. If you have social anxiety and you don't want to talk to me person to person, we can chat through your reading. It does not offend me. And the thing is, the price is the same no matter what, because the message you're getting and the work that I'm doing is the same no matter which medium you receive, like whether it's via chat or phone or video. I do allow people to record my sessions either in person or online. Does not bother me at all. I want you to have these messages. I think it's important for you to have these messages. And a lot of times it helps to be able to go back and listen to it when you're not so emotional at a future date, or to share it with somebody who's also going to benefit from the healing that you received. So what are the perks of in-person? You're in person. Also, you can pick up some really cool stuff at that shop on your way out, because they have just amazing. They have every kind of crystal. They got Florida water. They got incense. I mean, books. They've got everything. So that's one perk of doing it in person, is that you can come into the shop. The downside to being in person is that there are the time limits, because when I do an online reading, I sell my online psychic medium readings for a flat rate. Right now it's $50. It may go up if the demand is high enough, and it's starting to inch up towards there. I ask that people be understanding that this work is extremely hard to do emotionally. And so because it's so emotionally taxing, I deserve to be compensated fairly. I'm not going to price gouge you. I'm not the kind of psychic that tells you to come back next week so I can rub an egg on you. And I'm not dissing anybody's culture. I've seen that work. I think it's amazing. It's not what I do. I will say though, I do my reading and then I tell you that you probably shouldn't come back for another reading for at least 3 to 6 months, because you need time to process what you receive in your first reading. I know that some people, some psychics will tell you to come back every 2 weeks so that they can cleanse you of evil. I don't do all that. If you get a reading, you're going to get the messages that you came for. And if you don't, you do not pay. You never pay if you're unhappy with a reading, period. If you come to me and you pay for a reading on Etsy, for instance, you pay the $50, we do our reading, and you are not happy with it, you feel like your people didn't come through, you're disappointed, I give you your money back. I don't even ask questions. I have had that happen exactly one time since I came out as a medium. And even that woman, she offered to pay half, but I just refused, because if you're coming to me for healing and you are walking away unhealed, I do not want your money. I don't want it. That's not what I'm doing this for. So, and that applies to in person, that applies to online, over the phone, all different readings. If you're not happy, you get your money back or you don't pay, period. The shop and I are on the same page with that, because I don't want you to pay for something that you didn't get. So all of my readings are 100% money back guaranteed, no matter what. So the perks really to the online, number one, you're in the comfort of your own home. You can record it over Zoom. You have video as well as audio, because if you come into the room at the shop, I don't really have a capacity for recording a video of our readings. I only can do audio. I mean, I guess you could bring a selfie stick or something, but it would probably make me a little awkward. But you are welcome to record audio in person, but if we do over Zoom, you can record the whole video, or I can record it and send it to you, which is a perk. And I don't put time limits on those readings. They tend to end right about an hour every time. Usually everything is concluded at that point. And Spirit works with me on my timetable, I guess. But I don't put a time limit. So if we go 15 minutes over, you're not getting charged more for that. It's one flat rate for the reading. It's $50. So, that being said, what is the difference between an intuitive tarot and a psychic medium reading? First of all, I do not do intuitive tarot in person. I do not. There are other people at the shop that do that on different days. If you're interested in that, go ahead and book with them. I'm so sorry. I'm so new. I don't know their names because we work on different days. I haven't met them. But there are people at the shop that do intuitive tarot readings. I do them online only, and they cost $15. And the intuitive tarot reading is where I use a tarot card deck and I draw one card for you. And based on that one card, I write out the message for you. You don't have to be present for this. And in fact, it comes through a lot clearer if you're not present for it. So usually what I'll do is I'll type it up in an email and then I'll send it to you along with a picture of the card. Same thing as with the psychic medium readings. If you're not happy, you get your money back. So there's really, like, if you're not sure about doing a psychic medium reading and you want to, like, dip your toe in the water, if you've never had an experience with a medium before, or an intuitive tarot reading is a wonderful way for you to dip your toes in that water without fully committing, because we don't want you diving in with both feet if you are trepidatious, because you might be too closed off to receive the message that you're supposed to get in a psychic medium face-to-face reading. And you might be more receptive to an intuitive tarot reading where you get a card drawn, and then on your own time you can go through and read the message over and over again and respond to it when you feel ready. Because not everybody is ready to just dive into a full-fledged psychic medium reading. For me, the information comes from the same source, but for you, it's just a different format, and the messages are a little bit more different because they're not specific from a person who has passed. They're just more general to your situation. And again, if you're not happy, you never pay. That's kind of all I have for readings. If you have any questions about this, please, any questions actually about being a psychic, doing a reading, any questions about like my life, any questions that you have for me, period, about herbalism, about being a psychic, any of that, either drop them in the comments below, or alternatively email me. That will also be in the description box, so you can reach out to me directly if you have a private question you want to ask. But I am always happy to answer questions for you, so don't ever feel like you can't contact me for information if you're not sure that you want to do a reading, or if you're just curious. I would love to help you satiate your curiosity by answering whatever questions you might have. The question I get most often is, how does it work? I have no idea. I just do the things, but I am happy to do my best to explain it to you if that's something that you're interested in. So by all means, drop me a comment, send me an email, let's talk. I would love to get to know you guys better. I'd love to grow this channel. If you know somebody that's interested in either herbalism, aromatherapy, or psychic mediums, or tarot, etc., 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 send them my channel. Send them this video. I would absolutely love to meet some of you guys in person and do a reading at the shop.
I know some of you guys aren't in Denver. A lot of you guys aren't in Denver, and that's fine. There is no limit to distance. As long as we can Zoom or phone call, I can do a reading for you. And again, you never pay if you're not happy, ever. Never. I'm not doing this to be rich. I am doing this to stay sane. And that's a whole other video. So that being said, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are. Don't forget that you're all beautiful, sacred, beloved beings, and I'm so happy you exist in my world. Thank you for stopping by the Crow Boutique. I'm Courtney. You have a wonderful day. Bye.